France poised to recognize State of Palestine. Russia denies airspace violation accusation by Estonia. Good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching World Today with me, Otto Othman. The Palestinian death toll in the Gaza Strip has risen to 65,208, with 166,271 injured since the conflict between Hamas and Israel erupted on October 7, 2023. Gaza's health authorities also said in a statement on Saturday that over the past 24 hours, Israeli attacks killed 34 people and injured 200 others in Gaza. The statement added among the casualties, 4 people were killed while seeking food at aid distribution sites. The health authorities also reported 2 more deaths from famine and malnutrition over the past 24 hours. Since the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation (GHF) began distributing aid supplies on 27th May, 2,518 people seeking aid have been killed and 18,449 injured. The Israel Defense Force (IDF) was expanding ground operations in Gaza City and destroyed several Hamas infrastructure facilities. Meanwhile, military operations also continued in Khan Yunis and Rafah in southern Gaza. Over the past 24 hours, the IDF launched airstrikes on about 100 targets across the Strip, killing multiple Hamas freedom fighters. France is poised to take a major diplomatic step at the UN General Assembly UNGA in New York on Monday, formally recognizing the State of Palestine. The move is expected to deepen tensions with Israel, whose forces have now entered Gaza City in what may describe as the deadliest phase of the conflict with Hamas. French President Emmanuel Macron Friday announced on social media that he had spoken with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas the same day, when he reiterated that France will formally recognize the State of Palestine on Monday. Macron said in an interview earlier on Thursday that the recognition of a Palestinian state is the best way to isolate Hamas. France's plan backs a demilitarized Palestinian state under a reformed and strengthened Palestinian Authority with Arab and EU support. Residents in France expressed a stance similar to that of their government. The public opinion is generally against allowing the genocide and inequality in Palestine to continue any longer. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has said Iran has been an initiator of war, nor does it submit to forces. Now, he cited broad support for the Global Governance Initiative that Chinese President Xi Jinping put forward during the Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO) summit that he attended in Chinese port city of Tianjin early in September. Pezeshkian further argued that equality among nations must serve as a guiding principle in international relations. Responding to a question about the Israel-Iran conflict, he defined Iran as the defender of its sovereignty, not an aggressor. On that note, he said Iran supports equal rights for all nations. Pezeshkian expressed hope for a world with unified laws and norms where everyone enjoys equal rights, all people are born equal, and no one can claim to be superior. In his address at the SCO Tianjin Summit, Xi outlined the core concepts or the core complex concepts of the initiative, adhering to sovereign equality, abiding by the international rule of law, practicing multilateralism, advocating a people-centered approach, and focusing on taking real actions. He also praised China's leadership's perspective and said it has become a model for global governance. The Russian Defense Ministry on Saturday denied Estonia's accusation that Russian fighter jets entered Estonian airspace without permission. In a statement, the ministry said 3 Russian MiG-31 fighter jets completed a flight from Karelia in northwest Russia to an airport in the Kaliningrad region earlier Saturday. Monitoring equipment showed that the flight strictly adhered to international aviation rules and did not breach the borders of any other country. It further stated that the flight path passed over neutral waters of the Baltic Sea, remaining over 3 kilometers away from the Vandlu island in Estonia, and did not enter Estonian airspace. On Friday, Estonia said that 3 Russian Federation MiG-31 fighter aircraft entered Estonia airspace without permission and remained there for a total of 12 minutes. The Estonian Defense Forces reported that Italian Air Force F-35 fighter jets stationed at Amari Air Base in Estonia responded to the incident. Estonian Prime Minister Kristen Michel said the Estonian government would seek NATO consultations under Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty in response to what she called Russia's provocations. Article 4 allows any NATO member to call for discussions when it perceives a threat to its territorial integrity or security. Coming up, Indonesia raises alert level as Lewotobi volcano activity increases. Volcanic activities of Mount Lewotobi Laki-Laki resumed on Saturday morning, with the agency recording several eruptions, including one that sent an ash tower 2.5 kilometers into the sky. The 1,584-meter-high twin-peaked volcano on Flores Island launched into a series of eruptions, with the largest at 10:46 p.m. local time, sending volcanic material 6 kilometers above its peak. The eruptions came after the Geology Agency raised the volcano's alert level to the highest of Indonesia's 4-tiered system. Geology Agency head Muhammad Wafid warned residents and tourists to stay at least 6 kilometers from the volcano's crater and said volcanic ash could disrupt airport operations. Wafid warned residents, particularly for communities near rivers, to be on alert for the possibility of hazardous lahar floods, a type of mud or debris flow of volcanic materials if heavy rain occurs. Mount Lewotobi Laki-Laki, which means man in Indonesian, is twinned with the calmer but taller 1,703-meter volcano named Perempuan, after the Indonesian word for woman. Indonesia, a vast archipelago nation, experiences frequent seismic and volcanic activity due to its position on the Pacific Ring of Fire. Venezuela on Saturday organized a day of military training for civilians in response to the United States development or deployment in the Caribbean and amid new threats from President Donald Trump. It launched 3 days of military exercises on its Caribbean island of La Orchilla, or in response to the perceived threat from a U.S. flotilla of 7 ships and a nuclear-powered submarine. Nearly a month ago, Washington deployed warships to international waters off Venezuela's coast, backed by F-35 fighters sent to Puerto Rico in what it calls an anti-drug and anti-terrorism operation. Now, Venezuela Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez has accused Washington of waging undeclared war in the Caribbean after U.S. strikes killed over a dozen alleged drug traffickers off his country's coast. Caracas also accused the United States of seeking regime change and stealing its oil and other resources. In the crammed Patera neighborhood of Caracas, the main avenue was shut down for a day of mini courses about weapons handling and other revolutionary resistance tactics. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, who stands accused by Washington of running a drug cartel, has long sought to mobilize civilians in the escalating standoff. Hong Kong authorities have evacuated thousands of residents over a bomb left over from World War II that was discovered at a construction site. Police said the bomb weighed about 450 kilograms, adding that they believed it remained fully functional and could have caused mass casualties if mishandled. Police had said that a total of 6,000 residents needed to be removed from 18 buildings in the city's Quarry Bay neighborhood. Now, in the early hours of Saturday, they said evacuations were complete, noting that more than 2,800 residents left with police assistance. The bomb disposal operation has begun and was expected to take 12 hours. Hong Kong was an early target in what would become a full-blown Asian campaign for Imperial Japan during the Second World War. The city saw fierce fighting between Japanese and Allied forces during wartime, and hikers and construction workers still occasionally discover unexploded bombs in the territory. In 2018, a total of 3 U.S.-made bombs were discovered in Hong Kong's Wan Chai district. Police said the unexploded ordnance unearthed on Friday was the same type as the ones found in 2018. About 2,000 activists rallied and marched in Toronto on Saturday in nationwide protest against Prime Minister Mark Carney's policies on climate, the war in Gaza, and migrants and Indigenous rights. Protesters criticized Bill C-5, the One Canadian Economy Act, passed in June, which fast-tracks major infrastructure projects deemed in the national interest. Now, critics say it bypasses environmental rules and Indigenous rights. They also opposed planned federal spending cuts alongside higher military spending and called for a full arms embargo on Israel, according to CBC. Demonstrators marched against Bill C-2, which CBC said was introduced after U.S. pressure for stronger border security and would expand authorities' access to personal data and ease cancelling or pausing immigration applications. The march was organized by a coalition of 14 groups. Similar protests were planned in Ottawa, Montreal, Vancouver, and elsewhere in Canada. A cyber attack on a provider of check-in and boarding systems has disrupted operations at several major European airports, including Berlin-Brandenburg Airport, causing flight delays and cancellations on Saturday. Collins Aerospace, which provides systems for several airlines at airports globally, is experiencing a technical issue. According to Berlin Airport spokesperson, the issue may cause delays for departing passengers. Now, on their website, the airport informed passengers of longer waiting times due to a technical issue at a system provider operating across Europe. Collins Aerospace parent company said it had become aware of a cyber-related disruption to its software at selected airports without naming them. Frankfurt Airport, Germany's largest, was not affected, a spokesperson said. An official from the Operations Control Center at Zurich Airport also said it had not been impacted. Long lines formed both inside and outside Terminal 2 as passengers waited unsure if they would catch their flight on or not. Police said in a statement that they had attended an incident at the airport but gave no further details. Still to come in sports, Manchester United grabs a crucial win against rivals Chelsea. Now, the Premier League news. Manchester United eased the pressure on Bellegarde boss Ruben Amorim with a chaotic 2-1 win against Chelsea as both teams finished with 10 men at Old Trafford. Having kicked off languishing just above the relegation zone, Amorim's side climbed to 9th place to give the Portuguese coach a little breathing space. Now, the win is a welcome boost for the Red Devils in their woeful start of the season. Chelsea goalkeeper Robert Sanchez was sent off after just 5 minutes of Saturday's clash. Bruno Fernandes has quickly put United ahead with his 100th goal for the club in all competitions in his 200th Premier League appearance. Casemiro doubled the lead before Brazilian was dismissed for a second booking in first half stoppage time. Chelsea's Trevor Chalobah scored 1 for each for Chelsea and set up a tense finale. However, United held on for just their second win in 6 matches in all competitions this term. Amorim, who has won just 9 of his 32 Premier League matches, shouldn't rest on his laurels just yet. In another match, Liverpool extended their perfect start to the campaign and maintained their stranglehold of the Merseyside derby with a 2-1 win over Everton on Saturday. Goals from Ryan Gravenberch and Hugo Ikuti were Liverpool's reward for a dominant first half and enough for a fifth consecutive Premier League win. The Reds did the bulk of their good work inside the first 30 minutes to leave Everton still without a win at Anfield. Gravenberch broke the deadlock just 9 minutes in with a deft finish on the half volley from Mohamed Salah's cross. Liverpool scored the opener when Ikuti hurled Gravenberch's pass through the legs of Everton's Jordan Pickford for his third goal in 5 Premier League games. Everton had a lifeline just before the hour mark when Jack Grealish's deep cross was turned back into the path of Gay, who blasted the ball past Alisson Becker. Arne Slot turned the Ritz and Isaac off the bench to try and wrestle back control to the little effect. Liverpool, though, did manage to see out a nervy finale to inflict a unwanted record on Everton boss David Moyes. The Scot has now failed to win in 23 trips to Anfield as the visiting coach, the most any Premier League manager has played at a stadium without victory. In Saudi Pro League, Joao Felix and Cristiano Ronaldo both netted braces as Al Nassr powered to a 5-1 Saudi Pro League win at home to city rivals Al Riyadh on Saturday. Felix opened the scoring before goals from Kingsley Coman, and Ronaldo saw the hosts take a commanding 3-0 lead at half-time. Now, after the break, Felix added a fourth with a left-footed volley before Ronaldo rounded off the scoring. Bernardo Silva had pulled a goal back for Al Riyadh while trailing 4-0. Al Nassr climbed to the top of the league standings with 3 wins from as many matches and lead the way on goal difference ahead of Al Ittihad. Now in tennis, comeback victories from Jessica Pegula and Emma Navarro against Great Britain sent the United States through to their first Billie Jean King Cup final since 2018 in Shenzhen on Saturday. The victory means USA have now reached the BJK Cup final for a record 31st time, and they will take a defending championships Italy in Sunday's final. The 7th-ranked Pegula and 18th-ranked Navarro were considered heavy favorites in their respective singles matches, but Bolter and Cartel gave the American pair a run for their money. Bolter, ranked 55 in the world, entered the clash with a 1-love head-to-head record against Pegula. The 29-year-old Briton enjoyed a blistering start, breaking Pegula twice to grab a 1-set lead in 36 minutes. The duo traded breaks in the second before Pegula eked out another advantage to level the match. As Bolter's error count rose, Pegula found her game in the decider as she surged ahead 5-2 and wrapped up the semi-final in just under 2 hours. Earlier, Navarro rallied back from a set and breakdown to overcome a stubborn Cartal. A seesaw first set witnessed 5 breaks of serve, but it was Cartal who managed to consolidate a 1-set lead in 37 minutes. Navarro had to recover from a break deficit twice in the second set before she upped her level to break Cartal in Game 10 and even up the contest. The 24-year-old American could not consolidate her first break of the deciding set, but struck again to complete a crucial opening point for her team. Newly crowned mixed doubles world champions Cheng Dangji Do Wei produced an amazing performance to oust world number 1 home pair Feng Yanzi Huang Dongbing to storm into the final of the China Masters 2025. In the semi-final showdown at the Shenzhen Arena, the Malaysian pair displayed grit and composure to outlast the defending champions in a thrilling 3-setter, prevailing 22-24, 21-19, 21-17 after 18 minutes. The victory was Tang Ji Yiwei's third in 9 encounters against the formidable Chinese pair. The Malaysians will next face Thailand's Dechapol Puvaranukroh Supi Sara Pau Sampran in their bid to capture the prestigious title. Meanwhile, men's doubles pair Aaron Chia So Woo Yik failed to advance to the final of the China Masters 2025 after losing to India's Satwik Sairaj Rankireddy Chirag Shetty in Shenzhen, Guangdong today. In the semi-final clash at the Shenzhen Arena, Aaron Woo Yik could not produce their best form as the world number 2 pair fell tamely to the tournament's 8 seeds 17-21, 14-21 in just 41 minutes. It was Satwik Chirag's 5th win over the Thai Open and Singapore Open champions this season from a total of 16 meetings between them. Anna Hall won the heptathlon 800 meters in 2 minutes, 6.08 seconds at the World Championships on Saturday to secure her first global gold medal and bring the world title back to the United States for the first time since 1993. The 24-year-old scored 6,888 points to give her country a first world champion heptathlete since Jackie Jordi. Kersey won her second title in Stuttgart. Bronze medalist in Eugene in 2022, the second in Budapest in 2023, Hall lost a large part of her 2024 season after knee surgery, but finally reached the top step of a major podium with a dominant 2-day performance. Ireland's Kate O'Connor finished second, while Britain's defending champion Katarina Johnson-Thompson and American Talia Brooks shared bronze. On Saturday, in the final of women's 5,000 meters, Beatrice Chabert outsprinted fellow Kenyan Faith Kipyegon in a stunning finish to win the world title. The world record holder's victory in 14 minutes, 54.36 seconds, completed her set of global distance titles and denied 1,500-meter champion Kipyegon a double of her own in Tokyo. Bronze went to Nadia Batocletti in 14:55.42 to complete the sensational championships for the Italian, who won silver in the 10,000-meter behind Chabert. Kick back and relax with our selection of offbeat stories coming up right after this. Hundreds of people lined up outside Apple's flagship store in New York on Friday, eagerly awaiting the launch of the iPhone 17.
Me and my dad have been out here since 12 a.m. and I'm excited to get a new phone.
Today I came at about midnight, so about 8-9 hour wait. At this point I'm kind of used to it because this is my third consecutive year doing so. My first time was actually for the iPhone 10 at the same place. Even the Cube was under the construction, so I've seen a lot, and at this point it's just, it's like a tradition. I want to be here first in line, get the Pro Max, because that's my daily driver for the next year, so I'm really excited.
The countdown to the launch was marked by excitement as Apple CEO Tim Cook personally welcomed crowds of shoppers posing for photos and greeting fans. Apple says the base model, iPhone 17, features a brighter, more scratch-resistant screen and an improved front-facing camera designed to enhance horizontal selfies. The newly surfaced painting by legendary Spanish artist Pablo Picasso that has never been shown to the public since its creation more than 80 years ago is set to go under the hammer in Paris and expected to sell for at least 8 million euros. Painted in 1943, the piece, titled Bust of a Woman with a Flowered Hat, Dora Maar, 1943, was acquired by a French family in 1944 and remained in their private collection for decades. Previously, the only proof of its existence was in black and white photos depicting works in Picasso's atelier published in the Zervos catalogue. Auctioneer Agnes Silvestri Barbe said the painting has never been seen in color outside of the family. Silvestri Barbe said the piece recently appeared on auctioneers' radars after the heirs of the painting decided to offer it for sale, as it cannot be physically divided among them. The painting is believed to be a portrait of French photographer Dora Maar, Picasso's muse and partner, whom he later left for painter François Gilliot. Auctioneer Christophe Lucien said it was unusual to find a painting in such a good condition that had remained in its original state, having never been lacquered, restored, or framed. Blending the concept of an art fair and a car boot sale, the Art Car Boot Fair opened its doors in London in 2004. Since then, it has become an annual tradition, with this year's edition attracting artists like Mr. Doodle. Born Sam Cox and hailing from Kent, England, the viral artist is known for his doodle experiments, such as him covering every inch of a White House with hand-drawn doodles. He is set to make his art car boot fair debut with a ride he calls the Doodle Bus, a yellow school bus doodled all over with Mr. Doodle's typical graffiti spaghetti art. This time at the fair, his plan isn't just to showcase his art, but also perform music that he calls doodle music.
So this year at Art Car Boot Fair, I'm going to be drawing live on big canvases, playing some of my doodle songs, hanging around. My Papa Doodle's here. It's his birthday this year on Art Car Boot Fair, so we're going to celebrate that, and just going to be really fun. Just have a good time and meet people, say hi to people, take pictures, and just enjoy the day, really.
Other notable guests from this year's lineup include British comedy legend Vic Reeves and internationally renowned photographer Rankin, who has previously clicked striking portraits of Kate Moss, Queen Elizabeth II, David Bowie, and more. Well, that wraps up World Today this time round. In our top story, France poised to recognize the state of Palestine. For business news updates, do join us tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 or saluran Berita RTM. Till then, I'm Otto Othman, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat Disantuni. Thanks for watching.